Hello and welcome to On the Agenda, a semi-monthly podcast by the City of Reno that quickly updates you on actions taken at the recent council meeting and checks in with various departments to keep you up to date with happenings within the halls of City Hall. I'm AJ from the City of Reno's communications team, and with me, as always, except for last time, Reno City Manager Jackie Bryant. Ashley did great. Ashley Turney did a fantastic job.
I was out of town.
But we missed you.
Thank you.
You had a good Thanksgiving break, I assume?
Did.
Good?
Some family, the siblings, we all got together. We had a wonderful time.
Oh, good. I love that.
Yeah, it was really great.
Sometimes,
travel wasn't so fun,
right,
but the other parts were wonderful.
You need a vacation from the travel.
Oh, my gosh.
Today, our guest speaker will be telling us about a recent ordinance introduction related to standards for childcare centers. But before we get started, Reno City Manager Jackie Bryant will give us some highlights from the last council meeting.
Yeah, so first, council approved a resolution supporting the Zephyr Point Apartments affordable housing project, which will rehabilitate 216 affordable housing units for our community, thus requiring another 30 years of affordability. So that was really exciting. Council also directed staff to return with an ordinance amending the Reno Municipal Code Chapter 14.05 to reflect the 2024 edition of the International Property Maintenance Code. Basically, what this does is it allows the city to follow the most current guidelines related to building safety, sanitation, plumbing, electrical systems, and more. We really hadn't done this in quite some time, so that will be a good add. Also, the Reno Redevelopment Agency met. It is the same board members as the city council members, but we have to open up and close because it's a completely different meeting.
Right.
But they met and they approved a TIF application for 200 townhomes on East Commercial Row. So that's really exciting. I'm thrilled about this project.
That's fantastic. And we've talked TIF before.
We have talked TIF, so if you don't know what that is,
I think it's episode 7.
go check it out.
Definitely check it out. Thank you for the highlights. As always, you can read more at reno.gov/news, or you can check out the council meeting on our YouTube page. During this week's meeting, council also heard an ordinance introduction for standards related to childcare centers within the city of Reno. To find out what that is, Grace is joining us yet again, Senior Management Analyst. I almost messed it up again.
No,
I did it last time.
You got it.
From our development services team, but specifically planning, correct?
Yeah, it's a real long title.
That is a long
you got
title.
it.
So it sounds very easy to understand, but there's like little nuances to it. So
Definitely. So yes, we introduced an ordinance amendment that would be related to childcare. We really have been hearing from residents in the region, but we all know that childcare is really difficult to find. People struggle to find childcare, especially affordable childcare in this region, and really all over the country. I think it's a national issue. So the city's zoning code had barriers that made it difficult for new childcare providers to open facilities. Council directed staff to find a way to either remove or reduce these barriers in hopes of maybe increasing childcare options for Reno families.
That's great, because that's, like you said, it's a nationwide issue with affordable childcare. So can you explain the main changes that were proposed in the ordinance and how they address some of these barriers?
Sure. So our scope is really limited. There's so many agencies that are involved with childcare providers. The state really regulates the safety and the ratios that are required for childcare providers. There's the county health department is also involved. And so we're not the only agencies that providers have to come to. But we looked at our zoning code. Our zoning code ultimately regulates 3 different types of childcare providers. We have childcare centers. Those are the large childcare providers. You think of the Blue Kangaroos, the Goddard schools around town. We have in-home childcare. This is usually, or has to be accessory to your primary house. So this is someone who's maybe watching kids for some friends, and they have maybe 5 to 12 children in their home.
Gotcha.
And then we have workplace childcares where employees bring their kids to work, and there's a childcare center in their workplace. And so what this ordinance does is it will remove or reduce the need for some of those costly and time-consuming permits. So for in-home and workplace, we required a minor conditional use permit. It's a 30-day process. It's just over $4,000 for this permit. And then we reduced the need for the conditional use permit and made it a minor conditional use permit for childcare centers. So just making it a little bit easier for some of these childcare facilities and reducing that barrier that we just didn't see was necessary.
Hey, Grace, can you explain why reducing it from a conditional use permit or CUP to a minor use permit, MUP, why did that matter?
It's less intense of a process. So a CUP usually takes about 65 days. It has to go to Planning Commission, and it's also almost $5,000 for that permit. And what we find is if you're a childcare provider, you're not well versed in presenting these things to Planning Commission. It's really intimidating to go up in front of a body like that and present your case. With a minor conditional use permit, we still notice the neighbors. We still have this public process, but staff is able to hold your hand a little bit more through the process and work with the applicant instead of sending them in front of this body that maybe a developer is more apt for that
Sure,
type of
and does it
environment.
cost less money for the permitting process for an MUP?
Correct. Yep. An MUP is about $4,300 and a CUP is almost $5,000.
But in this case, what did you do with respect to MUP fees?
For MUPs, just for in-home and workplace, we got rid of that requirement so they wouldn't have to pay that fee.
So there's no fees at all now for
There is a fee for childcare centers, but they're
Sure.
just paying that reduced fee.
But for
for
the
the in-home,
in-home?
correct, no fee.
nothing.
Correct.
That makes a lot of sense because, yeah, if you're an in-a-home provider, you're not going to be well-versed in being like, hey,
No.
I just want to watch some kids.
And
Please.
you don't have the money.
No.
I mean,
Right.
$4,300 for the process plus, it's just,
Right.
it was too
Yeah.
much.
And we see, we looked back to look at some of the in-home childcare providers that we've gotten in the past 5 to 10 years, and I could count them on one hand, and most of them had been withdrawn. And the reasoning we saw is they're usually watching 5 to 7 kids, and they didn't have the money or the time to invest all of this money in this process. And so that kind of told us, okay, this isn't working. We're not seeing in-home childcare pop up, or maybe they're going unlicensed because they just don't want to go through this process.
And that's not good either.
Exactly.
Right, because you can't shove a bunch of kids into a house.
So we're hoping that this makes it a little bit easier and more streamlined and transparent so that they do come in and get licensed.
One of our biggest things here at the city is that we like input and feedback. Tell us a little bit about how you engage with residents and what type of feedback you receive during the development of this.
Yes, we usually go through, especially with our zoning code, Title 18, we go through a very similar process for any time we amend that. We go to council to initiate the process. And then we go to all of our neighborhood advisory boards, and we usually hold some virtual stakeholder meetings outside of that to really dedicate the full hour to this topic. And so that's exactly what we did. We went to all the NABs, and we held 2 virtual stakeholder meetings. We also engage our communications team to help us with media coverage and press releases and email blasts and social media. We know a lot of people get their information from what we're doing on social media, and so we want to make sure we cover that outlet. We received overwhelmingly positive feedback on this, which was great. We did have a couple suggestions of maybe things we could do to make this better, some additional requirements we could add, but ultimately staff and council recognizes that's just more barriers adding to these providers if we require them to do more.
Tell us a little bit about how this proposed ordinance aligns with the city's strategic priorities.
Sure. So the ordinance supports the city's goals for economic opportunity, homelessness, and affordable housing. Ultimately, by making childcare more accessible for residents, it helps families participate in the workforce and supports economic growth. I think a lot of families, when they have a kid, they have to go through that decision of, do I go back to the workforce, or is it more economically feasible to stay home because daycare is so expensive? And so by making it easier, hopefully less families have to go through that decision.
Grace, you talked about it during the meeting, but for this podcast and these listeners, explain the comparison of cost for daycare for young ones versus tuition for college.
I know that was like one of the most startling statistics I saw when I was doing my research. Infant care is the most expensive care because the ratios are so low.
Right.
And so it's cost more to send a child to infant care than it would to send a child to the University of Nevada or UNLV, which is, and they don't even get to go to like football games or,
No. No. I remember doing it when mine were little, and the infant care was astronomical then. And I can't imagine, trying to figure that out today.
No, it's, that was one of the more startling statistics I saw. And I think everyone who has a kid would be like, yeah, that is true. That's what it costs.
That's a crazy stat to tell people. Mm-hmm. Wow. So all positive from this,
yes.
It sounds like. So what are the next steps for the ordinance, and how will its impact be monitored?
Yep. So we, council approved the initial reading. They referred it to a second reading and adoption. And so if that's approved, we will, it will go into effect after it's adopted, and it'll go into our zoning code, and we can implement it after that.
When does the second reading come back on council? Because it can't come next week, right?
Nope, January 14th.
Yeah, so then after that, it'll be effective.
Correct.
Okay, say end of January.
Yes.
Anyone interested in in-home daycare?
And we've had some people submit today, and I just told them, hold off.
Oh, that's wonderful. That means it's
before
already
you
working.
Pay your fee.
This is one of those times when I'm, reminded of why I went into government, was to be able to help people, systemically, as opposed to on an individual basis. I'm just incredibly proud of the work the team did and the leadership from council to get us to where we are today. This was a win for everybody.
Yeah, you're setting up procedures for future success for people.
Yes.
Is there anything else you would like to add about this, about your department, the toy drive you guys have going on in development services? I know that's happening.
Yes, I know. Our director, Chris Pingree, is very competitive, and I think our toy drive is should get national attention at this point. He does so much work every year for the toy drive. So if anybody would like to participate or drop off a toy, please do so.
Where do they go?
They will come to second floor on City Hall. And then we are also trying to do some other things for childcare with business license. And we're working with the Children's Cabinet to create a pamphlet or basically a booklet of how to open up a facility. So if you would like to open up a childcare facility or you have any questions, you can call me at 775-657-4691, and I can help you through that process.
Awesome. Thank you, Grace, for joining us today again on the agenda. Before we sign off, Jackie, what is happening on the next council agenda, which we have to let people know? We're doing back-to-back again because it's holiday time.
Double up. So we are having our last council meeting of 2025, 10 a.m. It's the same time, every time, on a Wednesday. And during that meeting, council will consider the purchase and installation of field lighting for the Hilltop Park in Northwest Reno. That will be funded with residential construction taxes. They will also consider a prefabricated bridge for Taglia's Paradise Park, also funded with residential construction taxes. And then they should be considering a donation from WYZE Labs so that the Reno Police Department can provide security cameras for victims of domestic abuse.
Oh, that's fantastic. So that is on the 10th of the 10th, isn't it?
December 10th. 10 a.m.
Be there or be square. If you would like to learn anything else about the city of Reno, if you want to read more agendas, check out reno.gov/meetings or reno.gov/news. There you can also find our newsletter, The Reno Report, which has an easy little sign-up screen. So check it out.